AEW President Tony Khan says that he thinks WWE is still contract tampering with AEW talent. Interestingly, WWE CCO Paul Triple H Levesque has liked an Instagram post with Khan's quote on the matter. The Bloodline, including a returning Jacob Fatu, viciously assault Roman Reigns last night on SmackDown. Tony Khan says that AEW will return to England next year, despite the fact that All In will not be at Wembley Stadium, rather it will be in Texas. Adam Cole reportedly is stepping up his training for an AEW in-ring return. An update on the health of AEW Executive Vice President Kenny Omega. Several NXT stars appear on SmackDown last night on Fox. The Street Profits are the new number one contenders for the WWE Tag Team Championships. An update on the Young Bucks schedule in AEW after they have limited dates on their new AEW contracts. Michin interrupts the celebration ceremony involving new WWE Women's Champion Nia Jax. The lawyer for Vince McMahon denies a report that says the ex-WWE and TKO executive chairman is in poor health. NXT superstar Riley Osborne qualifies for the Ultimate X match for the X Division Championship and an upcoming TNA Wrestling pay-per-view. Plus, could this be the name of the post-WWE version of the Hurt Business? Hey guys, welcome back to Wrestling News 365. Hope everyone is doing very well. As always, there are plenty of news stories to get into in the world of professional wrestling. Let's begin with contract tampering accusations coming from AEW President and CEO Tony Khan. Now, Tony Khan believes that WWE is still engaging in contract tampering with AEW talent. The alleged tampering became an issue in 2022 when Khan says many AEW wrestlers came to him claiming that WWE reached out trying to get them to break their contracts. At the time, Khan's mother was in the hospital recovering from a stroke. Khan has said this is when business became personal between him and WWE. On the Dan Lee Batard show, Khan was asked if he thinks the tampering situation has got better since then. He said, quote, "I don't think that it has," Khan responded. "I think that it's still happening, and I will reserve all rights when it comes to that, but I don't think that it's stopped, and I'll leave it at that." Now, Khan's answer comes as the Lucha Brothers, that being Penta El Zero Miedo and Rey Fenix, are believed to be on the verge of leaving AEW for WWE. Earlier this week, there were rumors that Penta was scheduled to be in Orlando, Florida, where the WWE Performance Center is located. Penta called that rumor fake news and said his present is with AEW. Penta did not address any of the reports about his future. Penta and Fenix's AEW contracts are both set to expire soon, though it has been reported that AEW does have the option of extending Fenix's deal for another year due to time missed due to injury. Now, when it comes to this issue of contract tampering and the quotes that Tony Khan have said, well, interestingly, and this is a legitimate picture, Triple H, yes, the WWE CCO, Paul Triple H Levesque, has liked a post on Instagram about Tony Khan's comments surrounding his belief of WWE contract tampering. Yes, this is real. Now, it must be stressed, it's not expected that Triple H actually runs his own Instagram account. It could just be an error, but certainly it is interesting nevertheless. Now, the Bloodline, they got some revenge last night on the original Tribal Chief Roman Reigns and a timely return of the Samoan werewolf Jacob Fatu. The original Tribal Chief Roman Reigns didn't stay on top of the new Bloodline for long after his return at SummerSlam to begin August, as he fell victim to Solo Sikoa, Tama Tonga, and a returning Jacob Fatu on Friday's episode of SmackDown. Sikoa and Tonga came down the ramp to begin the segment. Sikoa asked Orlando to acknowledge him, but they started to chant OTC instead. Sikoa told the crowd that if they didn't want to acknowledge him, that was fine, but he knew of one man who needed to do just that. He called out Roman Reigns to come and take the Ula Fala back from him. Reigns' music hit and Sikoa took off the Ula Fala and gave it to Tonga to hold on to before he went after Reigns. The original Tribal Chief hit a Superman punch to Sikoa, then Tonga stepped in and started beating him down. Reigns delivered a rock bottom to Tonga for his troubles, then cleared off the announce desk and looked to put Tonga through it before Sikoa rallied and got back on the offensive. Sikoa looked for the Samoan spike, but Reigns countered, hit a second Superman punch and a spear. Reigns put on the Ula Fala almost in relief, but it didn't last long, as Jacob Fatu came in still wearing a walking boot from his reported SummerSlam injury and started fighting with Reigns. Fatu and Tonga set Reigns up on Sikoa's shoulders, and all three delivered a powerbomb reminiscent of the Shield, sending him through the announce desk. Back in the ring, Tonga put the Ulafala back around Sikoa's neck, and the Bloodline stood tall over Reigns to end the show. Now, Tony Khan, he's opened up on AEW's return to England next year after news was reported this week that AEW will not be returning to Wembley Stadium for All In, instead the show moving to Texas. Now, Tony Khan has said that AEW does have plans for England in 2025. Of course, AEW held AEW All In at Wembley Stadium in 2023, and the company is returning to the venue next weekend. However, All In 2025 has been announced for the Globe Life Field in Arlington, Texas. Speaking on the Dan Lee Batard show, Tony Khan was asked whether AEW All In 2024 would be the company's final show at Wembley Stadium. Here's what Tony Khan had to say.
Is this the final AEW show at Wembley?
No, definitely not. We love having AEW at Wembley Stadium, and we're back in 2026 in England. This year, we're going to be doing a huge event. It's coming up actually days from now. It's next weekend, August 25th on Sunday. Kind of an early start for AEW on pay-per-view since we're running over in London. We're going to start at 1 p.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Pacific. And again, that's next Sunday on pay-per-view. It's going to be a huge, huge event. We're calling it the Final Countdown, as it's title versus career, with Bryan Danielson, one of the greatest wrestlers ever, putting his career on the line versus the World Championship held by Swerve Strickland, and so much more. Next year, the show will be at Arlington's Globe Life Field, home of the world champion Texas Rangers. Should be a great show. Absolutely, we love doing the show in England, and we will be back in England in 2026. And you can bet you'll see us there in 2025 as well. It won't be AEW All In. It'll be something different, but we've got some big plans coming up next year as well. It's a great time for AEW. Like you said, I do wear this hat proudly, and a lot of exciting things coming for AEW.
Yeah.
Now, a bit of an update when it comes to Adam Cole here. Of course, many are waiting for Adam Cole to return to the ring after his freak injury last year, and there are positive signs towards a potential return in AEW for the former NXT superstar. Fightful Select's Sean Ross Sapp has learned that Adam Cole was backstage at the August 14 episode of AEW Dynamite. While that isn't out of the ordinary for injured talent to be backstage at AEW tapings, Cole had been taken off the road a number of months ago as traveling seemed to be slowing down his progression towards an in-ring return. Cole had been factored into the Undisputed Kingdom faction. However, perhaps a more promising sign of a return was word that emerged from backstage was that Cole was set to resume training for a hopeful return as soon as next week. Of course, Adam Cole last wrestled on September 3rd, 2023. Shortly after that, he sustained an ankle injury in a freak accident during a show-closing segment that ended up heavily derailing AEW's plans, which Cole factored heavily into. Of course, that was at the AEW Grand Slam event last year. Now, Kenny Omega, speaking of health updates, we've got an update when it comes to the health of AEW Executive Vice President Kenny Omega. Last December, Kenny Omega was diagnosed with a health condition known as diverticulitis, which is characterized by inflammation or infection of small pouches called diverticula that form along one's intestinal tract. 5 months later, Omega returned to AEW television to address his health, but later found himself on the receiving end of a beating from the new version of The Elite. Unfortunately, this AEW Dynamite appearance also brought on a subsequent trip to the hospital and surgery. That was an effort to write him off television. Of course, this is going to keep him on the shelf even longer. While speaking with Love Spo, which is a Japanese program, Omega's close friend Michael Nakazawa provided an update on his health. According to Nakazawa, AEW's Executive Vice President Kenny Omega's recent surgery called for the removal of about 25 centimeters of affected colon. As a result, the strength in Omega's abdominal area has been weakened. Despite the difficulties, Nakazawa said that Omega has generally been able to walk on his own, though he still needs help for certain tasks, such as cleaning his cat's litter box, which requires the action of bending down. Quote, little by little, he has been able to do physical training, Nakazawa said. He is still not able to lift the same weights as before, so he is trying to find the best training that he can do while incorporating rehabilitative elements such as walking and exercising in the pool, and he is working hard toward recovery. he is trying to find the best training he can do at the moment. Now, regarding the future of Omega's in-ring career, Nakazawa noted that doctors raised concerns about Omega performing again, as his abdomen possesses no power right now. As such, Nakazawa is unsure of when the former AEW World Champion may be cleared to wrestle again. Of course, we get any more details on Omega's health, we'll let you know in an upcoming video. Now, several NXT superstars were shown last night on SmackDown live on Fox, with SmackDown coming to Orlando, Florida on Friday night. The stars of NXT were in town. NXT Women's Champion Roxanne Perez and former NXT Champion Trick Williams both appeared in the crowd, but perhaps the most notable name was current NXT Champion Ethan Page, a former AEW star, making his first ever appearance on the main roster. Page has been fast-tracked to the top of WWE's developmental brand, defeating Trick Williams for the NXT Championship in a four-way just over a month after making his NXT debut in May. Page's appearance did not go unnoticed by his fellow NXT employees. NXT commentator Vic Joseph jokingly posted to his X account about a phone call he'd received from NXT announce team compatriot Booker T. Quote, "This is not a joke," Joseph wrote. "Booker T just called me to yell, 'Kill him with a smile,' laughed and hung up after seeing NXT champion Ethan Page on SmackDown." Now, the Street Profits are the new number one contenders for the WWE Tag Team Championships. They will be facing the Bloodline next week. On last week's SmackDown, there were two matches to determine participants in a number one contenders match for the WWE Tag Team titles. The Street Profits defeated A-Town Down Under to advance, while DIY defeated Pretty Deadly to move on. And while Johnny Gargano and Tommaso Ciampa would doubtless love the opportunity to reclaim the tag titles from the Bloodline, who defeated DIY the night before SummerSlam, it was Angelo Dawkins and Montez Ford who pulled out the victory and an opportunity at the new champions. The match opened with an impressive sequence that left Ford and Gargano shaking hands after it. Dawkins and Ciampa followed that up with their own strong sequence. DIY seemed to be headed towards a victory after hitting the Shatter Machine on Dawkins, but Dawkins kicked out, and the Street Profits proceeded to drop Gargano with a combination electric chair / blockbuster. The Profits will now move on to presumably face Tama Tonga and Jacob Fatu, who return to SmackDown later on in the evening, though it is possible other members of the Bloodline could defend the titles under the Freebird rules. We'll have to wait and see indeed who does defend the titles next week. There's been a lot of discussion recently, hasn't there, about the schedule, the limited dates of AEW World Tag Team Champions, the Young Bucks. Now, AEW Tag Team Champions, the Young Bucks, returned to action on the August 14 edition of AEW Dynamite, where their title defense against the Acclaimed ended in a disqualification. But where had Matthew and Nicholas Jackson been in the weeks before? Well, according to Dave Meltzer in the latest edition of the Wrestling Observer newsletter, the Young Bucks had actually scheduled to take some time off from AEW after the Blood and Guts match on July 24 in order to take a family vacation. Meltzer wrote that the idea was for the AEW EVPs to take time off to sell the injuries sustained in the match, but said the angle wasn't properly pushed either during the conclusion of Blood and Guts or upon their returns to television this week. AEW Continental Champion Kazuchika Okada was also absent from the two Dynamites after Blood and Guts, returning to confront Claudio Castagnoli ahead of their match in Cardiff, Wales. It's been reported recently that the Young Bucks have limited dates built into their contract. Meltzer noted that the duo haven't ran through all of their dates over the past few weeks, but between now and the end of the year, there will be episodes of Dynamite that the AEW EVPs won't appear on. However, Meltzer was careful to note that they will still appear on most episodes and had already appeared on most episodes since returning in January. They will most certainly be appearing at AEW All In next Saturday, where they will defend their tag team titles inside Wembley Stadium against either the FTR or the Acclaimed, or possibly both, in a triple threat tag team title match. Now, last night we saw a championship celebration for not only the Queen of the Ring, but also the new WWE Women's Champion. Friday's edition of SmackDown opened with Tiffany Stratton's highly anticipated celebration ceremony for new Women's Champion Queen Nia Jax. Jax's commemoration, however, was cut short by Michin Mia Yim, armed with a kendo stick and a thirst for vengeance. Jax waved at the Orlando crowd from her large white throne as she was lifted to Stratton's pink celebration setup by several muscular men. Tensions ran high between the Women's Champion and Miss Money in the Bank as Jax noted that Stratton's celebration wasn't her style and that she would have much preferred if her new era of dominance began with a bow from Stratton. Instead of bowing, Stratton noted that men should bow too, as she directed Jax's attention to Pretty Deadly and their live musical performance. If Jax's nerves weren't already frayed after Pretty Deadly's rhythmically challenged production, they were certainly by the time Michin Mia Yim snuck into the ring to crash their party. Michin Mitchell used a kendo stick to liberally smash Stratton's party decorations before turning her attention to Jax herself. Jax managed to roll out of the ring, and Pretty Deadly were left to face Mitchin's wrath. It appears that Mitchin will be Jax's first feud in her new championship reign, which makes sense. Mitchin was seen comforting Bayley in the hours following the former Women's Champion's loss to Jax at SummerSlam, and was aligned with the role model during her feud with the now Women's Champion. Now, there's been some rumors and stories this week regarding the health of former WWE and TKO executive chairman Vince McMahon. Of course, Vince McMahon has kept a low profile since being ousted and resigning from TKO Group Holdings this past January in the wake of more scandal. Naturally, when a world-famous showman like McMahon suddenly goes quiet, the rumor mill will go into overdrive, which appears to be what's happening right now as it relates to McMahon's health. YouTuber Lee Cole has alleged that Linda McMahon, the ex-chairman's wife, although it has been widely rumored they are separated, told a mutual acquaintance that her husband's health has been in rapid decline. But now McMahon's lawyer is pushing back against those rumors by claiming the former WWE CEO is not unwell. Quote, "Vince's health is fine," McMahon's lawyer Jessica Rosenberg said in a statement. "We have no idea where the rumor that he had health issues came from, but it's not true." McMahon, who turned 79 on August 24th, underwent major spinal surgery in July 2023. Despite this, McMahon appeared at the New York Stock Exchange just 2 months later to mark the UFC merger into TKO Group Holdings. The following month, McMahon made the strenuous trip to Saudi Arabia to attend the Francis Ngannou vs. Tyson Fury fight, where he appeared hunched and frail, walking with the support of a cane. The 78-year-old is currently wrestling with one of his strongest foes, but he's not altogether unfamiliar with that being the U.S. Justice Department. McMahon is under federal investigation for his alleged involvement in the sexual abuse and trafficking of former WWE employee Janelle Grant. The former WWE head of talent relations and McMahon associate John Laurinaitis has also been named in the lawsuit alongside WWE as a company itself. WWE, the multi-billion-dollar company McMahon helped build, has done what it can to distance itself from its former CEO, with Paul Triple H assuming an increasingly prominent role, as well as Nick Khan as the company moves forward under the TKO umbrella. Now, switching over to TNA Wrestling here, and the crossover between WWE NXT and TNA continues. The working relationship between WWE and TNA has proven to be a smash hit with both fans and wrestlers, as performers from both sides have felt the benefits of having the opportunity to work in a different environment. Stars like the Rascals, Jordan Grace, and Joe Hendry have all been well received by the NXT crowds, while the No Quarter Catch crew, Wesley and Tatum Paxley, have featured in big matches on TNA Impact and TNA pay-per-views. TNA's next major event, Emergence, which takes place in Louisville, Kentucky on August 30th, will once again feature a member of the NXT roster following the events of the August 15th episode of Impact. Chase U's Riley Osborne made a surprise appearance on the show as the third entrant in a qualifier for the upcoming Ultimate X match for the X Division Championship at Emergence, and Osborne made the most of his opportunity as he defeated both Chris Bay and John Schuyler to qualify for the event. Osborne joins Jason Hotch, the Rascals' Zachary Wentz, and current X Division champion Speedball Mike Bailey in the High Wire Spectacle, with the final qualifying matches that will feature the likes of Laredo Kid, Frankie Kazarian, and Kushida, and Hammerstone set to air over the next few weeks. And finally, could this be the name for the post-WWE version of The Hurt Business? Well, following the official WWE departure of Bobby Lashley and MVP, a potential new name for The Hurt Business has been revealed. As previously reported, former WWE champion Bobby Lashley and MVP were expected to be leaving WWE following the expiration of their contracts with the company. On August 16th, both Lashley and MVP were moved to the alumni section of their official website. It seems like plans have already been made for the potential next move of both men following their exits from the organization. On August 14th, a trademark filing was made for them, the Hurt Syndicate, for wrestling purposes by a company going by the name Totally Harmless Concept LLC. Now, the same company had filed to trademark MVP back in 2013 when the former United States champion started up with New Japan Pro Wrestling. The company also filed to trademark Ghetto Strong Style in 2013, a song by MVP that he used as his theme song in New Japan Pro Wrestling. So it would imply that certainly this has an association with Montel Vontavious Porter. But there you go, guys. The latest pro wrestling news for you. Be sure to smash a like on the like button. Be sure to subscribe, bottom right-hand corner. As always, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below, and I'll speak to you again very, very soon.
Hey guys, thank you for watching, listening, streaming, or however you come across this video today. Be sure to click on the video on the right there to watch our next video, or click the bottom there to subscribe, or the bottom right hand corner. Thank you very much, and I'll speak to you again very soon.